facility. This was within the last hour with federal agents also firing pepper balls. Let's get right to Catherine Cook live on the south waterfront. So Catherine, you can hear the crowd behind you. What do we know about how this played out?
David, this was a planned demonstration of civil disobedience with protesters fully aware they would likely be arrested, and they were, but not before federal agents warned them to leave their property and fired pepper spray at them. In fact, you probably hear over my shoulder the sound of pepper spray being fired as we speak because the demonstration continues. Here is how this all started, though. Folks came out here with demonstrators hoping to trespass onto federal property for a sit-in. Each held photos of people who either died while in ICE custody or were killed during an ICE operation. 10 minutes later, agents stood behind the gates and began firing pepper balls at demonstrators. A short time after that, agents opened the gates and sprayed several people with pepper spray at close range. At that point, some of them they left and many stayed, though. Federal agents then took a handful into custody. Again, organizers tell us this was a planned demonstration in honor of Martin Luther King Jr.'s message of civil disobedience and against the immigration crackdown happening across the United States. Again, back live here at the South Waterfront in front of the ICE facility. A lot of demonstrators remain here tonight. Several have been taken into custody, with agents coming out periodically firing pepper spray. Back to you.
Now, Catherine Cook on the breaking news. Catherine, stay safe. Really appreciate your reporting there. Well, to a live look over downtown Portland now for our Wells Fargo Sky Camera on a chilly evening in the Rose City with temperatures set to drop into the low 30s overnight. And our cold yet clear weather is spurring a warning about the temperature of our rivers and also the debris flowing downstream. Libby Dowsett with that story.
River levels are finally getting back to normal, but if you take a look over here, river keepers say trees, root balls are washing down our rivers, getting stuck, just waiting to snag someone. River keepers are concerned people will see all this great sunny weather and decide to pop back out on the river without taking precautions. Mark Fitzsimmons knows the Tualatin River. He spends summers guiding kayaking groups with the Tualatin River Keepers.
You get a few sunny days in a row and the air temperature gets warm and people get restless.
But even he wouldn't head out on the river during winter without a dry suit and emergency provisions. He says the smooth, sunny surface does not reflect what's underneath after flooding.
It starts to float. It starts to float root wads. It starts to float logs, entire trees. It starts to float piles of firewood.
He says lowered branches can sweep you off your kayak, or snags in the current can funnel you underwater.
If you see this much, of a tree, 2/3, 3/4, or more of that tree can be underwater.
He advises kayakers to carry a pump, travel in numbers, and float with someone experienced. Even larger boat captains have been dodging debris in the Willamette. Portland's Fire and Rescue Harbor Master telling us.
Again, you just can't get out of the way of those things fast enough in a lot of cases, especially if you're looking the other way and it comes up behind you.
And if it's not the debris that gets you, it's the cold water.
You're thrown into the water, you do that. And if your head's not above water, if you don't have a life jacket on, that's what I think probably causes most of the early season deaths that we see.
Another piece of advice, get some cold water gloves, because if you were to fall into the water, you often lose control of your hands, so you can't grab anything or unzip your clothing. River keepers say it's best to just stay out of the water this time of year. In Tualatin, Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
Cool and clear. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino now tracking the chilly weather and the potential to see the northern lights. Matt.
Yeah, David, that potential may have decreased a bit. I'll explain, but there's still a chance, and it is clear and it is cold out there. So if you're outside for any reason, make sure you dress warmly. We're down to 38. The east wind continues to blow in East County and, of course, in the gorge. Those winds will begin to back off a bit tomorrow, but we're not going to lose them for several days. Now, temperatures around town, around the region, 35 in Hillsborough, 35 Scappoose, down to 35 in McMinnville as well. So yes, cold tonight. And some places will drop into the 20s yet again. That's already happened in eastern Oregon, where the fog and low clouds are stuck in the valleys there. As far as we're concerned, it will be chilly overnight, but the afternoons are warm. The dry weather continues. The east winds will weaken a bit tomorrow, more later in the week, and frost will become more likely in the morning as the winds weaken. I don't see any precipitation coming our way, at least through this week and probably the weekend. Now, we had a severe geomagnetic storm come and hit Earth just earlier in the day today. So it came in faster than expected. So it may have favored Europe more than it will North America, but there's still a chance we'll see them tonight. You need to get away from city lights. Look north, usually after 10 p.m. is best, and give your eyes time to adjust. Make sure you bundle up and dress warmly, because as we just talked about, it's cold out there. And again, our chances may have decreased a bit, but there's still a chance, David.
All good advice there. Thank you, Matt. Speaking of the cold, by the way, some communities are opening up warming shelters overnight. This is just a few of them, with Salem, Dallas, Oregon City, and Vancouver all on that list. We're keeping an eye on Multnomah and Washington County to see if things change there. You can find a list of open shelters specifically, again, for the cold weather right now on KGW.com. And tonight, Portland fire crews are warning about the dangers of space heaters after they say one sparked a fire early this morning in a southwest Portland apartment. Devin Haskins reports.
Just before 5 o'clock Monday morning, a fire at a southwest Portland apartment in the second floor bedroom. Investigators say a space heater was to blame.
You got to make sure that when you're using those space heaters that you have the area in front of that space heater completely clear of any combustible material.
Portland Fire says this was not an isolated incident. In just the last week, crews have responded to 3 space heater fires. Just a week ago, a 64-year-old woman died in a home in the northeast Piedmont neighborhood. Investigators believe an extension cord connected to a space heater caused it. As temperatures drop, people often turn to space heaters. And fire officials say the number of fires go up, particularly between December and February.
We see that increased in the space heater use or the outside warming fires that unfortunately extend to something and we respond.
And it's not just what's happening inside homes. As cold weather sets in, warming fires outside are becoming more common, especially for those living outside. Portland Fire says those fires create a difficult balance because while some may start small, they can also spread quickly. That's why the Bureau recently changed how it handles low-risk warming fires, now looking at each situation case by case, weighing the immediate danger while also trying to connect people with shelter and resources.
If that fire poses a risk to anything, a structure, a vehicle, vegetation, we're going to extinguish that.
That was put into action early Sunday morning in the Lloyd district when a warming fire at a homeless camp outside a Red Robin restaurant spread to the restaurant itself. Fire officials say simply putting a low-risk fire out isn't always the best solution because it can push people into more hidden spaces.
We have found that if we just extinguish these fires, those people end up going to alleys and next to buildings like the Red Robin inside their tent, and we have injuries and deaths as a result of these fires. So we're really trying to manage a very, very changing landscape.
Devin Haskins reporting there. Fire officials say you should always plug a space heater directly into the wall outlet. Do not use an extension cord or power strip. And if you leave for any period of time, be sure to turn it off and unplug it. Good advice there. Meanwhile, crews are investigating after a North Portland church caught fire just before midnight. When firefighters arrived at the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses on North Willamette Boulevard in Liberty, they say the roof was on fire. Crews say they had to cut away a large section of that roof to get it under control. No one was injured. Developing tonight, Portland police are asking for help identifying a person wanted in connection with a stabbing in the Pearl District. Take a look at these surveillance images. They're a little bit grainy, but authorities say a woman was stabbed on Saturday, December 20th, just before midnight near Northwest 13th and Hoyt. Police say she survived wounds to her torso. Crime Stoppers is now offering a $2,500 cash reward for information here that leads to an arrest. Tonight, tensions are escalating between the U.S. and Europe over President Trump's rhetoric when it comes to Greenland. Today, the president declined to answer when asked by NBC News if he would use force to take over the self-governing Danish territory. Meanwhile, it appears we're learning more about the president's motives, if not his approach here. The Norwegian PM there sharing a text from President Trump that states, quote, "Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace," end quote. The president is also threatening to slap a 10% tariff on 8 European countries. Greenland says it will not be pressured. Meanwhile, the president's actions surrounding Greenland are not only getting the attention of Congress, but of people and businesses here in the Northwest with strong ties to Northern Europe. Thomas Schultz explains.
At a town hall in Clackamas County, Oregon Senator Ron Wyden slammed President Trump's plans to increase tariffs on European countries that are against his plan to annex Greenland. We also spoke to a man named Brady Jensen, the president of Nordic Northwest. That's a nonprofit focused on preserving Nordic culture in the Pacific Northwest. Jensen says many in Denmark are confused by President Trump's plans because the United States already has military access to Greenland.
The United States already has treaty rights that allow it to expand its military presence in Greenland. We can accomplish what the president says are his objectives without straining the relationship.
Though on Truth Social, President Trump posted in part Saturday, quote, "China and Russia want Greenland, and there's not a thing Denmark can do about it. Only the United States of America under President Donald J. Trump can play in this game," end quote. On Meet the Press, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent backed the president, saying it's in America's best interest to take full control of Greenland.
I believe that the Europeans will understand that the best outcome is for the U.S. to maintain or receive control of Greenland.
Of course, that's a stance that Denmark and many European countries continue to strongly disagree with. In downtown Portland, Thomas Schultz, KGW News.
And straight ahead here on KGW News, TriMet is buying Portland's old Greyhound terminal. Why it's able to make the move even as it prepares to slash bus routes because of its budget. And from volunteer projects to peaceful marches, how Oregonians chose to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Stay with us. TriMet is now buying downtown Portland's Greyhound terminal. That's according to our news partners at the Portland Business Journal. The agency will spend about $12 million in federal funds and use the property, formerly a homeless shelter, to house buses. This as TriMet plans to slash 11 bus routes and reduce 24 others because of budget woes. A TriMet spokesperson saying these federal funds could not be used for normal operations or for maintenance. Well, it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day to celebrate the achievements and the legacy of the late civil rights leader. Joe Ranieri reports from Salem, where hundreds of people showed up for an annual walk.
Under the bright January sunshine, dozens of volunteers spent the day giving back across the metro area.
I think it's great to just have the opportunity to give back and show that we care about the communities that we're in, to give back in any way, shape, or form. And this is one way that we can, on a broad scale, show the community that we're here and we're here to stay.
In North Portland, the Reclaim MLK Jr. 12th Annual Art and Social Justice March brought out a couple of hundred people.
I think we all need to come out right now and speak for justice and speak out. So yeah, I had to be here for sure.
For many who came out to march or volunteer, it was a way to bring communities together.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy time in the world. Inclusion is really important, and equality is really important, and I'm just glad that we're able to make this whole area of Northeast Portland more hospitable.
And in Salem, hundreds poured into the McKay High School gymnasium to hear community leaders talk about coming together.
To me, the biggest thing is when we take on concepts of what Dr. King began to teach, really creating spaces where everyone has a space, everyone has the opportunity to serve.
Ashley Dunn is the vice president of the NAACP for Salem Kaiser. She says it's important to remember what this day is all about.
When people feel that they can not only connect, but that they can give back to their community, they take pride in it, they take ownership of it, and they continue to show up in that space and honor that idea of peace.
Parts of the Salem community celebrated that by a peaceful march that brought communities together.
Joe Ranieri reporting there. Matt's back with us now. I know there's still a chance, but bit of a bummer on the northern lights.
Yeah, it looked really promising, but then this storm kind of peaked a little too early for us. It really hit the images out of northern Europe have been outstanding. Wow. So haven't seen much from eastern North America yet, though, which is never a good sign at this point of the night. Let's take you outside right now. It is clear enough, that's for sure. There's no moon. We had a new moon yesterday, so that's in our favor if you are heading out, of course. Bundle up, look to the north, give your eyes some time to adjust. It is chilly, though. It's already down to 35 in Scappoose, Hillsborough, and McMinnville. Portland, Vancouver, and Troutdale are a little bit warmer, but still in the 30s, and those east winds continue to blow. 28 in Bend right now, 29 in Pendleton, and boy, the fog and low clouds really thick just east of this view from our Timberline Live Skycam. And again, you can see the easterly winds blowing through the Cascade Passes here, which includes the Columbia River Gorge, the biggest of all the passes, and the winds are stronger there, of course. I'll show you in a second, but this led to another great sunset with Mount Jefferson framed in the middle, Three Sisters there on the left, and just some really great lighting in the sky. Now those wind gusts, check this out. Corbett had a gust of 74 miles an hour, Crown Point 69, east side of Troutdale 59, I-205 Bridge and the West Hills in the mid-30s. And the winds are going to diminish a bit, but they're not going to end. They're not going to end all week. So if you live in East County, I know it's been a long run. It's going to continue. Here's the wind gust forecast for tomorrow. Still getting gusts of 33 miles an hour on the east side of Portland out by I-205 and gusts of about 30 or 40 and higher, of course, and the usually windy places of Corbett and Crown Point. Notice the east wind still offshore. Then as we go to Wednesday, they really back up, but they're still in the gorge. They've diminished in the Portland area. And by Thursday, they've diminished even more, a little bit of onshore flow at the coast, but not in the gorge. It's still offshore and very gusty for the west side of the gorge. So again, this is not unusual for this time of the year, but it does get old after a while, right? Now look at the low clouds in the Columbia Basin there. Otherwise, the sky has remained clear, and where you're in the sweet spot where there's no clouds and also very light winds, then you climb into the 50s, 52 down at McMinnville. Hot spot today was North Bend and Tillamook, making it up to 64, and much of eastern Oregon only in the 20s and 30s, especially if you're stuck in the fog and low clouds. We still have this massive area of high pressure here in the northwest. What's interesting is the shift towards the east, where all this cold air is coming down into the northeast and the Midwest. They're dealing with a big Arctic outbreak there, and that's going to continue. For us, here are the east winds. Precipitation, I just don't really see it. Not through the week, not through the weekend. Next week, now this is Saturday, we're still dry. We'll catch some clouds. There's some rain coming in. That was about Tuesday, and then potentially another one coming in later next week. None of this looks all that impressive, though. You look at the breakdown of our high pressure, it does break down. Polar vortex becomes the Great Lakes vortex as it moves on down to the south, and they continue to get the cold air, and we eventually see the westerlies punch on through next week, and we'll probably get a couple of weak storms out of that, but I don't see a shift yet towards a big snow-producing pattern for the Cascades. I'm not saying it won't come. I'm sure it will at some point, but in the meantime, we've just got to keep waiting. 38 degrees in Portland right now. On the coast tomorrow, though, it'll be another beautiful day. Mid-50s there. Lows will be in the 30s. In the valleys, also beautiful. Morning fog down around Eugene and maybe Corvallis. Otherwise, nice and up around 47 to 50 for highs. Cascades, sunny and mild. Yes, I know. That's not what we want to see, but that's what we got. Sunny above the valley fog in eastern Oregon. Pendleton, if you're lucky, you make it up to 32 tomorrow in the soup. It's a little bit nasty there. Very windy for the west side of the gorge, gusts to about 60. And in Portland, we'll see clear, windy conditions, morning frost once you get away from the wind. High of 51 tomorrow, 49 on Wednesday, and then upper 40s right on through the week. As we go into the weekend, we see a few clouds come over, scattered high clouds, but nothing major, no big shift just yet.
It's kind of like status quo, right? 49 and sunny.
It really is.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Still to come, Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo get ready to take center stage for the Winter Olympics. Up next, a showcase of Italy's beauty with some expert advice from Rick Steves. Stay with us. Blazers are on a roll. Let it continue. Rip City besting Sacramento on Sunday 117-110 with Denny Avdia returning from an injury and scoring 30 points.
Back in shape a little bit in rhythm. Got some easy buckets. Try to do what I can to help the team win. Other than that, our eyes are on the next game.
They always are. Good to see him back. Portland's now 22-22 on the season. How about that? The Blazers are back in action on Thursday against the Miami Heat. Well, it's not just the Blazers. You got a whole lot more coming your way with Season 8 of Friday Night Hoops now underway. Your one-stop shop, of course, for boys and girls high school basketball along with pro and college ball. Orlando Sanchez and our team of photographers will be out across the region, perhaps coming to a gym near you to bring you all the action every Friday night right after the news at 11 and only here on KGW. Well, to the gridiron now with the Seahawks just one win away from the Super Bowl after they took care of San Francisco over the weekend. That's one way of putting it right now. Seattle will host the Rams for the NFC title. The teams have played twice this year, each winning once. Seahawks fans telling us they are optimistic about their home field advantage.
So I've been a fan, my whole life. So I'm very confident we're going to win. Plus, I've been at the other 3 NFC championship games that were here, and we won them all. So I'm on a streak. I'm going to the game on Sunday.
Very confident. Kickoff 3:30 on Sunday afternoon. Seattle goes in as a 2.5-point favorite. All right, the Olympic opening ceremony is just 2 weeks from Friday, and to get us warmed up when it comes to Italy's sights and sounds, one of the world's most renowned travel experts, Jake Wittenberg, caught up with Rick Steves.
Milan, Italy isn't just a city, it's a pulse. A powerhouse of fashion, finance, and art. and it's an all-time favorite destination for one of the world's most famous travelers.
I love Italy.
Rick Steves, longtime Edmonds resident, says he's visited Italy at least 50 times. In 1976, he turned his love for traveling into a career by making Italy and the rest of Europe more accessible to the average traveler.
Life is a theater, life is a game, life is a food fest. Italians really know how to live well. When you go to Milan, you've got a chance to go to the great Duomo, the cathedral, so many spires. And you hike around on the roof, and on a crispy day, you can see beautiful Alps in the distance.
That's where the Dolomites, 5 hours north of Milan, play host to skiing and sliding events at the Winter Games. It's also an area where, no surprise, Rick went hiking just a few weeks before our interview. He says the size of the Olympic apparatus will make travel in these small mountain villages a real challenge.
The infrastructure will not handle the massive crowds as everybody converges on Italy. Anybody that thinks they can zip from an event in Milan over to an event in Cortina, they're dreaming.
Rick's famous for exploring and immersing himself in day-to-day culture.
You feel the weave of society as you stroll in the evening. There's a little rough edge in a big city, and the passeggiata is nicknamed Struccio, which is the big rub. And people rub each other, and the men and the women check each other out. And instead of saying buonasera, they say bella, beautiful.
The Winter Games will make Milan feel like the center of the world for the month of February. And bringing cultures together is what Rick Steves loves the most.
When you go to the Olympics, you're reminded it's a big, beautiful world. I love the thought that you can learn a little bit about your own city, your own country, by leaving it and looking at it from a distance. And I learn a lot about how the United States could be better when I go to a place like Italy.
Oh yeah, Friday, February 6th, right here on KGW. We'll stick around. Straight Talk's coming your way next. And don't forget, you can stream KGW News, including your full weather impact forecast, anytime. Details right there. For now, we'll leave you with this view this Monday from our Vancouver sky camera. Almost forgot what day it was, right? It's a holiday. If I don't see you tonight at 11, enjoy what is left of your holiday weekend.